Cost of soul kind of sounds like the price you pay um, for staying as pure as you can be, like from the source. I was watching this lecture from KRS-One, and it was really profound yet simple. He said something to the effect of, people go about living thinking that they're a human with a soul, but they're actually a soul with a human. And I was like, damn, what the fuck? And then he went on to say, I'm talking right now and you see this thing moving, but when I close my lips and I talk, I still hear myself. So what is that? And I said, damn, soul. Okay, that's soul. That means that this is literally only part of the story. That this is for y'all, but it's really another person in here. It's really a whole other being that is much greater than what you can process with your naked eye. And once I heard that, I'm like, man, if people really understood all of that, they will understand why it's so important to not be anything but that true essence. It's imperative that we are all our most authentic selves at all times, because anything else is disrespectful. This is just a part of the story. This is what we use to be in this 3D paradigm. It has nothing to do with the whole story. And if we don't understand that, we can't really move about the way that we need to, because we think that everything is finite and that everything is just like final when it's not. Every time it's something else. But if you think that it's just my body and then I die and I go to be with the Lord, or you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so limited. Who said that?
Right.
And if you don't know you don't have a soul, you're going to be okay with selling it through a job, through a dogma, through experience. And it's from the bigger levels to maybe a 9 to 5 to the smaller levels, like a county nigga selling drugs and getting locked up and having a low life when he could have just stayed in the house, played in the hood on the day, but then came home like a good boy. My name is Tori Haynes. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
We're in Baltimore, Maryland.
Over west.
Hey.
Hey.
And what would you say, like, what was it like growing up in Baltimore?
It was very interesting growing up in Baltimore because my parents aren't from here. So I had to deal with trying to be obedient to my parents and what they wanted me to do, how they wanted me to behave and speak, versus assimilating with my classmates when I'm the one that's actually from the city, but I'm taught that the very things that are like the essence of people from my city, I can't do it. Like, I couldn't speak the vernacular once I crossed the threshold of my mom's house and stuff like that. So it was interesting for me, but I love Baltimore, so.
Not being able to be like everyone else, do you feel like that kind of made it harder to connect, or?
It made it hard to connect, but not really though. That was just one facet of it. Like, kids would be kids, but like, let you have basketball, or y'all gonna talk then, or just simple shit.
Right.
You just learn how to navigate, I guess. It's not really that big of a deal once you kind of get your footing. But the genesis was definitely a little rough, because you can't be over west talking about serendipitous and shit. Like, niggas like, what the fuck you talking about?
Right, where you from?
Yeah, like, where you from the county?
So, like, that's funny that you said that. So, coming up in Baltimore, it is kind of two sides. Opposed from the east, west, south is the city and county. Like, what do you feel as though is a disconnect between the city and county?
I feel like the disconnect is the experience. I feel like people from the city don't feel understood. They feel unheard, and they just all around stressed out. And even though I haven't really struggled too crazy, I still know what it looks like and what some parts of the struggle feel like. And so it's kind of like insulting to see people come from like Milford or Randallstown, Owens Mills, and want to hang around the projects and try to sell weed when they don't have to. Their parents still in the house, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a disconnect right there, because like, yo, I don't want to sell drugs, but I got a daughter, my mother a crackhead. I be selling right next to where she cop at, and your dumb ass down here got both of your parents and shit. You got a car when you 16 and you doing this for fun.
Yeah.
So of course that's not the story for everybody, the scenario, but that's a lot of it, because it's just like a difference in experience. So even if you build some kind of camaraderie, like maybe off a basketball or sports rivalry or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't really change the fact that they go home to two separately and different experiences, two different neighborhoods, all kinds of stuff.
So you definitely, I would say at least the third person that's mentioned people selling drugs while having both parents. Like, do you feel as though having both parents is the answer or a key?
Well, I don't feel like it's the answer. I feel like it's a combination of things, but I feel like it's definitely the genesis of it because it teaches you how to deal with both sexes. It teaches you how to um, just be a little bit more balanced with your femininity and masculinity, which will help you when you go outside in society and you can assert yourself because you know who you are. You're not really lacking in those areas. But of course, you can do it by yourself. But all of the people that I know that have both of their parents, they are a lot more balanced and able to express themselves and show love and receive love than people like me or people, you know, that might have had both parents but not in the house.
So when you say like you, like what does that mean? Like what do you feel as though is lacking?
Oh, I don't feel like anything's lacking because I've elevated to a mindset where I'm supposed to give myself what I need because I'm not a child anymore. But when I just said that, I was simply talking about anyone else who may have grown up in a single parent home. Because I was raised with my mother. I know who my father is, but that's a whole other story. My mother raised me.
Um, I mean, I don't know if you want to go there or not, but just like, how would you say that that's affected you, just not having your father around?
It's affected me because up until my adulthood, I didn't really know how to interact with men, and I still, to this day, honestly, don't really understand men to the extent that I need to be able to just share space with them. A lot of them kind of assume that I am masculine presenting or want to be masculine, and so it's a lot of like unnecessary headbutting just
Mm.
through simple stuff like communication or body language. So, and I know for me, of course, because I'm small too, I'm just used to having to be a little rougher, and so just not have my father around, I'm not really soft in that area, and I also have kind of like communication barriers with guys. Like for example, guys are just a lot sillier than I am, like just sillier than women in general. But I haven't had a male in the house, so I don't understand that. It's always been women. Even the cat was a female in my house, so it's real important that people realize to like just be around that space so that you can have that balance yourself. You kind of emulate what you're around most, and you can't really connect with masculinity if you've never seen it ever, or if you have seen it, it's always been a feminine presence talking down on it. Your father ain't shit, or he don't never keep his word, or whatever the case may be.
So like, do you feel as though your opinion on your father is your opinion on guys that you meet on a day to day?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, every man is different, just like every woman is different. My father is just a hurt individual, and unfortunately, he's in a generation where they don't really talk about it, they don't really address it, or if they do, it's in really closed off manner. So I can't really understand him on that level. But my dad is my dad.
For sure. You want to figure out what can I do to show them that they missed out, or what can I do to show them that they had a good one. You get what I'm saying? And for you, like, what do you feel like that thing is?
For me, honestly, just being myself. Honestly, I feel like me being myself is my best asset to the world, and just learning who that is and growing in it till its fullest potential, no matter what comes my way. I used to have that feeling, like especially if I saw that episode of Fresh Prince where he was like, "Why don't you want me?" Like that used to touch me, but at this point, I don't care because I come to the understanding that it's not even about me. They had problems before I got here, and they didn't know what they was doing when I got here, and they can't do anything for me in certain areas because they haven't done it for themselves. So now that I have that understanding, I'm free from those shackles of their opinion or trying to make them proud. I'm trying to make myself proud. I'm trying to undo all the stuff that I might have learned from them that doesn't resonate with me or the lifestyle that I live. It's too much work to be done to be worried about what they're doing. They had their chance, and this is my chance. And I lost a lot of time trying to wave my hands at them and shit. Like, it's cool.
That's real. What you feel like set you free?
Compassion set me free, and I cultivated compassion through experience and solitude. Like, I'm introverted, and in social settings it might not be the best, but when I'm really by myself, I do my best work. I allow myself to cry. I really get down to the stuff that bothers me, and I just allow myself to feel whatever it is, whether it's rage or anger. And I just allow myself to feel those things that we teach ourselves are negative about ourselves. I like to play with my shadows. Some people call it demons. I call it my shadows. I feel like I need both.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just do the work, and I just try to fill in the gaps. Like, for example, if I know I didn't have my dad, obviously I know that that affects me as it pertains to men. So that's something that I work on because I know I'm conscious of it. I need to take care of that. Or my mother. It doesn't really matter. Just really growing up and understanding that, yo, my parents really tried. There is no manual to parenthood. And once you realize that you've manifested everything in your life, that you can change in every inhale and exhale, that shit becomes so much lighter and it don't fucking matter.
For sure. So would you definitely say like you forgiven them for any mistakes that they made throughout your life?
I've forgiven them for all their mistakes, but I'll be lying if I said I was over it. I have forgiven them because I had to make the room so that I can, become who I need to be. But that shit still hurt. Like, that shit don't go away.
That's
like,
right.
when you... Because for me, I don't really have a good relationship with either of my parents. And I don't have anything against them. I love them dearly. But I don't have the best relationship with either of them. So, it's easy to go about, the routines that you have. But sometimes when you want to celebrate, and that first person you want to call is your mom or your dad, and you can't, or you're looking out in the crowd, and, like, it's hella people fucking with you, but your parents not there, like, that shit, that's when it hits you. Not the easy moments, oh, whatever, they don't call me. That don't matter. Like, when you want to celebrate, and you like, damn, yo, that nigga father right there, that nigga mother right there, that's when it smack you. And you just have to really build up that strength to realize, like, you just got to be your own cheerleader. And then you have to attract your earth family. You got a birth family, you got an earth family, and then you just have to know which ones are interchangeable and which ones really do not sit well with your boundaries or your lifestyle.
That's deep. So what does it mean to have soul?
Man, soul is energy. It can't be created nor destroyed. It's the most powerful thing ever. And I think all of us just have these cute vessels, but we all come from that same source. Soul is source, man. It's energy.
And would you say having soul makes you more or less likely to be successful?
I think intentions. Because we all have soul. Some people call it free will. We all have soul. We all have opportunity. But I feel like your intentions based off of what you learn, or maybe your intuition determines that part.
And you said we all have soul. So you saying we all the same? Or
We're
like,
not all the same, but we all have the same opportunities. It's millions of them. Well, we all have the same ones. We just do different shit. But we all have unlimited potential to do literally anything we want. We all are just taught by different people to think and do different things, and so that turns into different combinations, but we literally all can be the wealthiest people in the world. We all have potential to be anything.
Facts. So, like, what characteristics would you say is necessary to make it out of a place like Baltimore?
Man, you gotta have tenacity. You gotta be consistent, persistent. You definitely gotta be compassionate so that you don't take a lot of the negative energy out here personal. You definitely gotta have some grit to you, because Baltimore is not for soft people. It's really not. It's not as bad as people say or as violent as people say. It's just that it's very easy to feel negative in a place like this. I'll leave it at that. But you really gotta have vision. You gotta have vision. A lot of people can't see themselves out of a 1 mile radius of their homes. Like, you gotta get out of Over West. You gotta get out. You gotta leave Vegas. You gotta leave Miami. You gotta really leave, and you gotta be able to see yourself in other places. A lot of people have never even imagined themselves somewhere other than Baltimore. Feels good and real.
Very real. That's why I had some people that just like, well, just send me over the questions. That takes the realness away from it, because now you studying, you trying to get the answer right. I want to know how you feel. Like, I can do my own research.
True.
But like, what is success to you?
Success is consistency, honestly. Just being specific about what you want and being very fervent in the pursuit of that thing. And then finally achieving that thing, I guess. No, success is actually happiness. Because you can set a million goals and knock them out and still be unhappy. So I say success is just happiness in whatever you're doing.
And do you think somebody can be broke and successful?
Definitely. There's a lot of broke successful people. You know how many people have degrees and they're successful in their field, but they broke because their mindset hasn't shifted?
That's deep. And if you had to choose between money or love, what would you pick?
I would choose love. I can always make money.
Why though? Like, how so?
Because when you are encompassed with love, you are emitting certain vibrations, and that's going to attract money to you anyway. You can have all the wealth and still be empty inside and hate yourself. So I would rather just enamor myself in love and attract that money as a result.
Well put. Can't argue with that. So, like, if you can go back and talk to your younger self, is there anything that you would say to yourself that you feel as though would have you further along in life?
Oh my gosh. If I could talk to my younger self, I would say you knew it all along, yo. Like, that very first whisper of intuition and you didn't know where the voice came from, so you ain't trusted, yo. That was your nigga from Jump Street. That first whisper, and you didn't use your mouth to make it. That was the ticket right there. And your mind controls everything. Your thoughts control your whole experience. Nobody else.
Simple as that. So, when they say like someone has sold their soul, what do you feel as though they sold?
Their individuality, their will to do things on their own for their own purposes, their energy. I think it's multifaceted. Soul is like it's kind of deep. But yeah, that's how I die.
And how would you define a queen?
A queen is someone who is confident, who knows their role and plays their role, who is balanced, got her shit together, a leader. Man, that's kind of hard. Yeah, it's so simple. It's a queen, royalty, man.
You feel like queens are rare out here?
Say it again?
A queen's rare?
I don't think queens are rare. I just think queens don't know it, that they're queens, because they haven't been told or exposed to it or anything else.
And does that apply to kings as well?
Yeah, it applies to kings. There's so many kings who don't even realize they're kings. It's just so much wasted potential around here.
So do you feel like genuine love is hard to find?
I feel like genuine love is hard to cultivate. I don't think it's that hard to find. I think a lot of people out here want to genuinely love, even if it's themselves. They just don't know how. They ain't seen it before. They haven't felt it. And they're confused because media's feeding them a lot of stuff that's opposite of what it truly is. And I'm learning that literally as we speak.
When you say you learning that, like what exactly are you learning?
I'm learning that like a lot of the stuff that I've been told or shown that was love, whether it be through experiences or media, it was a lot of fluff. Like it has nothing to do with like dates and like all the cute shit, all the nuances. It's literally just about showing up every day and paying your rent to stay in that relationship, whether it be with yourself or other people. It's literally just about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's easy to go on dates and put on clothes. You can do that with side bitches and main bitches and all of that, but like love, like, is just showing up regardless of what's going on.
That's deep.
And man.
You been in love before?
Yeah, I'm in love right now. And thankfully I can say that it's with myself first, because I used to foolishly think that it was respectable to love somebody more than I love myself, because it's like, ooh, you really care about somebody. That's the dumbest shit I ever fucking heard. I wish somebody would have told me that too.
Sometimes we gotta go through experience.
Yeah, I'm hard-headed, so I know I wouldn't listen anyway.
And like, what's your thoughts on depression?
I feel like depression is a mindset, not a disease. It is dis-ease, but it's literally a mindset, and it doesn't necessarily just go away through treatment or medication. It's the same thing. I I feel like depression stems from a lack of love of self. And the only way to fix that is to be consistent with doing the opposite of what you're used to doing with yourself, which is allowing yourself to stay in the bed, allowing yourself to think negative thoughts, allowing yourself to be surrounded by negativity, whatever the case may be.
And like, have you had any experience with depression?
Oh, yeah, man. I was depressed for most of my life. I would say from about maybe 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade, all the way up until 25, and I'm about to turn 29. So most of my life I feel like I've been depressed because I just didn't understand what was going on around me, with me, happening to me. I just had a very skewed view of everything that was going on, and yeah, it was not cool. It's not cool when you're like a sensitive child, but your parent doesn't know what to do with that because they don't allow themselves to be sensitive because they weren't allowed to be sensitive. Like, could you imagine being a sensitive millennial child being raised by a baby boomer who is numb because they from the South? They don't really have time to feel. And so if all you do is feel, but someone telling you can't feel, yes, you're going to be depressed as shit. That's the one thing you are, and they're telling you that you can't be that because that's weak. So then you don't know what to do because you're always feeling, but you feel like you don't have permission to do that because you don't have a reason to cry. And you know how many black parents have said, I'm going to give you a reason to cry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that fucks you up.
Yeah.
So I definitely dealt with depression, but when I really started to understand who I am and allow that to shine through regardless of how uncomfortable it made other people feel, even myself, that's when shit really started popping. Like, oh, when I found out who I was, nigga, that's when shit really shifted. So, yeah. And depression didn't go away. I literally have to make sure I stay balanced, that I'm always being creative, because I realized when I stop being creative, it automatically just 180s.
And like, who would you say you are?
I'm a creative. I'm a Tory. It's kind of hard to say it because I feel like all of it will be a box, and that might seem cliche, but I don't even know who I am because I'm still becoming that person. I'm still trying new things. Like, I just started DJing last year, and if you would have told me when I was a teenager that I would be a DJ, I would have laughed. So I really don't know. I just know that I'm growing and that I'm living and I'm learning, and that's all I got right now.
So if you was to win the lottery tomorrow, like, what would you do with that money?
How much?
Couple million.
A couple million? What would I do tomorrow? I gotta give the corny answer because of experience. I would invest. Because I've already wasted some bands before, and now that I have more knowledge, I'm like, what the fuck? So the first thing I would do is invest it. And the second thing I would do is tell my partner to quit their fucking job because we're leaving. And the third thing I would do is like go on a retreat and just create for like 90 days straight. Very limited to no cell phone use, very healthy food, clean air, and I would just create for 3 months straight and then see what happened after that.
And when you say you would create, like, is that DJ wise, poetry wise?
All of that. Poetry, DJing, producing, rapping, all of that. Like, I do a lot of different stuff, and because of that, I don't give it enough time. So I've considered just taking clusters of time where I go off to the side and really just focus my energy on one or however many of those things come about. So it will be very intense because I got a lot of stuff to get out from experience. It's a lot of music to be made. I learned a lot of shit over the past couple of years. So it's time.
And if you could put like a motto on the phase in life that you're in right now, what would it be?
Damn, that was simple. A motto for the phase of life I'm in right now is like, damn, that was simple, because I'm just realizing how dramatic I was as a child or like as a person. Not even externally, but just like simple shit that I thought was the end of the world really ain't shit right now. Like, that shit
You wish
doesn't
it could
even
be that
matter.
easy again.
Huh?
I said just wishing it could be that easy again.
Yeah, like, just, man, not even that. Just wishing I would chill the fuck out on a daily basis. Like, it's just so easy to meditate in the house, but then go outside and forget who you are or what you just did. to forget that money comes to me easily, that I live a life of abundance, that I'm good right now, and that having $50 million 2 years from now isn't better than what I have right now if I don't realize that. Like, I'm literally just knowing to, like, this is literally, the other mantra will be a day at a time. Because adulting is overwhelming as shit. I literally have to have a to-do list a day at a time.
So if you could talk to the youth and tell them something that would probably save them 5 or 10 years of stress or struggle, what would it be?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Everything that comes up in your life as a problem is literally because you're not being yourself. I promise. It doesn't matter if it's relationships, jobs, education, depression. It's literally because you're not being yourself, or you're not pouring into whatever that is that's most important to you. Whether it's your parents telling you to go to school for law when you want to be a dancer, or you working 80 hours a week and you got a Benz but you don't paint no more. That right there. Just be yourself.
And this something I haven't even asked nobody else, but I just feel like for you this is very fitting. What's your thoughts on 9-to-5s?
Personally, I feel like 9-to-5s are the biggest fucking scam in life. It is like the thing that is pushing capitalism. I feel like 9-to-5s are cool for people who need to transition, but I feel like they're very limited. I take that back. 9-to-5s are for people who are not Tory. I don't understand 9-to-5s. They're stressful, they're cyclical, they're depressing, and they're limiting. And I feel like whoever is cool with it is cool, but if you are creative, do not do it. Find a way to phase out. Find a way to swap all the time that you're spending at work with your gift, your talent, your hustle, even if it's not your talent at first. I feel like 9-to-5s are just soul suckers. It's literally made to suck all the individuality out of you and push you in the machine so that you can put output. And if that's not the life that you see, you need to get out, because whether you realize it or not, you are a hamster on the wheel, and it's not healthy.
And for somebody that's not creative, is a 9-to-5 perfect for them, or do they need to find something to...
No, that's the ironic part. There's no such thing as somebody that's not creative. And if you feel like you're not creative, then you need to leave the job soonest because you're sick. Everyone is creative until someone tells them that they're not. And if you haven't realized that you're creative yet, or haven't found that, you're in trouble, because you're buying completely into a system that is not native to your spirit, your soul. And your soul gonna knock until you answer. So you might as well go ahead and jump right now. But no, if you got 9-to-5 and you feel like you're not creative, the first thing you need to do is find a hobby. And eventually you're going to run into what you love to do, because that's how all the creative people did it. Entrepreneurship is for anyone, but not for everybody. So I don't want to be all toxic and be like, oh, if you have a 9-to-5, you're trash. That's your life, but you have to make sure that no matter what's going on in your life, that you're happy. And a lot of people are not happy with 9-to-5s. They're pushed into it. So unless you're like a rocket scientist and you love doing science every day, like, don't be up here flipping burgers if that's not your really, like, what you want to do. I don't care if you want to play chess, then play chess, nigga.
Yeah.
Stop flipping burgers.
It's a lane for everybody.
Man, people are making money off social media now. You don't have to do this stuff anymore. Like, you don't have to do this stuff anymore if you don't want to. Just, if you have a 9-to-5, make it make sense.
What about church? Are you a church-going person?
I am not a church-going person. I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I was raised Christian, and I feel like, I don't think there's anything wrong with any dogma, but I feel like the one I was raised under has been misconstrued. And I remember experiencing some dissonance with it in my earlier 20s, and I've just come to my own, understanding of how things work. So I don't go to church unless it's a really important thing, like maybe somebody passed. Maybe.
Do you feel like there are certain people that church is necessary for?
I don't think church is necessary for anyone. I think church is a business. I know church is a business. And it's basically motivational speaking. And I don't think anyone needs it, but it can be very helpful. Whether you're devout or not, I feel like with anything in life, it's literally, you take what you need and leave the rest. And some of these pastors are really, really good motivational speakers, and what they're saying makes sense. The issue is people are really vulnerable when they go to get these messages, and so they're soaking up the good word, and they're, being very passionate, and they're open, and then they're being withdrawn from, like, okay, give me the money, but there's no pouring back into the people. Like, yeah, you have soup kitchen and you have Bible study, you have the Christian school, but there's not really much beyond that, and can't get jiggy with that business. It's nothing wrong with that business, but it's not the type of business that I want to associate myself with.
And the beyond that you would expect them to give back, would you say that's more so financial, or is it just simply the truth?
Can you say that again?
You said you feel like the church should give back more to the community than what they're doing. Do you mean they should give them the reality of what's really going on instead of trying to make them feel better? Or do you feel as though all the money they get and they owe the community more financially?
Well, I don't feel like the church owes the community anything, because if the community doesn't realize what's going on, it doesn't matter anyway. I feel like the church is a business and it does what it's supposed to do. I actually kind of feel like I have to retract my statement, because it's coming from a standpoint of judgment of the business, and that's not where I want to come from, because we all have choices. Just like me and other people have decided, well, I'm not really messing with this whole pastor doing this, telling me I gotta do this, but he's doing that type of thing. So I can't even say the church has a responsibility, but I just feel like any business ethically should serve the community that they're extracting resources from, the community that is basically feeding them. It should be an exchange. I'm not even saying it has to be even, because that's not capitalism. Whatever works. But I'm not even saying money, because I don't think the church owes the community necessarily money. Invest in the community. Financial literacy classes. Stop just saying, oh, sow a seed and have a prayer and faith. If you're going to do that, then teach them what manifestation and alignment really is. Don't just say, oh, you got to have favor and all of that. Like, tell them what it really is. Mm-hmm. Stop bamboozling people, because a lot of stuff that's being taught in church isn't a lie. It's being romanticized, but not really given 100%. You make it seem like you have to be in the upper echelon and then some different kind of favor, when everybody has been manifesting since they came out of the vagina. They just have been doing it ignorantly, so they're manifesting both good and bad things, and they don't know what is which. So just invest, even if it's at bare minimum, but they really don't. They really don't.
So I got a question though. How come people don't have that same standard for all the foreigners that open up businesses in the black neighborhoods?
Because a lot of people really don't even understand black neighborhoods. They just see it as their hood. They don't understand that there's a whole system of capitalism in place. Like, because black people, a lot of them are not participating from the business standpoint and only the consumer standpoint, they don't care. They're too busy in survival mode to give a damn that nobody in their community is serving them, that nobody in their community is pouring into it, but they're consistently taking, that nobody in their community is providing them with good quality products and service. We can't even talk about good quality products and service and all of that shit when somebody has to, at bare minimum, feed themselves. We're not talking about feeding their children, feed themselves. Then we're talking about feeding children. Then we're talking about bills. So if you have somebody, like, for example, we're talking about a 9 to 5. If somebody is in that cyclical mindset of, I get money, I pay bills, I have fun on the weekends, they don't give a damn about social economic status and class and all of that shit. They just need to get to work on time. If the bus is on time, they need to get their food. If their food stamps is off, now they got to cut off work. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much in between that. That's not even a factor. They're not going to talk about that, because at the end of the day, though the Asian woman is rude, the chicken box spot is closer than the Shoppers, and it's cheaper to get a chicken box. So they're not going to complain. They're going to buy the chicken box.
And what about, and this just something I noticed, that a lot of the times when it comes to black business, we expect, extremely, like, the best customer service. We expect the best prices. The Asian people, they don't really care about what they charge. They don't really care about customer service yet. We got a habit of calling them mom and pop. What you think about that?
Well, I feel like that comes from, like, a disconnect. We don't see each other as family. We see each other as competition. And I think a lot of people go into black businesses with ego instead of just wanting to consume like I do with everyone else. So one thing I learned about black people is that they're emotional buyers. So black people will go into a black business, and because they see a black face, feel personally connected, and then feel like someone personally is disservicing them when the food is slow, whereas they don't feel connected to other businesses. So it's just like, oh, whatever, this is what they do. And it's kind of twisted, but I just that's what I gathered. I think it's dumb, but I guess they don't feel connected. Whereas other cultures, they're gonna support their people regardless because they don't trust us, they can't fuck with us, and if they support what we doing, then they become the lower class and we become upper class. So it's different mindsets and with all of that shit.
Yeah, because I feel like I can definitely say black people probably the only race where we will go to an Asian person selling soul food. You get what I'm saying? We'll go to an Asian person selling chicken boxes. But it's just like, do you really think an Asian person is going to come to us for egg foo young? Do you really think an Italian person is going to come to a black-owned spot for pizza? So it's just like...
I mean, are they going to come to a black-owned anything, period?
Yeah, but imagine if it's something from their culture.
Mm-hmm.
They might support a black-owned business if you selling something that they can't cook at home, but would they support you selling something that is their own?
Hell no, because black people are the only people who call themselves a color. Besides white people, just take whatever, but they don't really call themselves white. I'm German, I'm Jewish, I'm this. We're the only people who really don't know who we are, so we can't really stand up for ourselves. It's like trying to fight with a blindfold on. You don't even know who the enemy is, and then you hear somebody, you don't even know that's your nigga, so you just popped your nigga. You take the blindfold off, then you cuss him out for being too close instead of smacking the white man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's basically what we talked about before, survival. People not thinking straight. You can't really operate at your best when you're not thinking straight. You can't hold anybody else accountable. And when you've been told that your homeboy is your enemy, then that's what you focus on. You don't even see them as your enemy. And if we're taking it back to the church, it's ingrained in us subconsciously. If you always praying to a figure that is not you, you're going to be subconsciously taught to see that figure as someone above you that needs to be revered. And so on the conscious level, you're going to have that behavior. You're going to act that way around whoever that figure was that you were told to pray to. That's why it's not common that you see a black Jesus in a black church. But we can go way left with that one.
It's funny because actually, like, when you if you go to the older Catholic churches and you look at like the original paintings, the people in the paintings were black.
Yeah.
So I think the whole white Jesus thing that's definitely a distraction in the sense of just misguiding the truth, because they know the truth.
Oh, they definitely know the truth. That's why outside of the Vatican, the Mary Magdalene and all that, they're black. That's why the acorns, all of that. They know about the pineal gland and all of that stuff. But again, if you still in kindergarten talking about how I'm going to feed myself, you can't even think about the pineal gland and focusing enough to levitate and eating vegan food because it's good and not thinking that steak has more protein than broccoli. You're not thinking about that. Ain't nobody selling broccoli at the corner store. And if it is, it's frozen already and cooked. You don't know where your body came from. You don't know where your ancestors came from. You don't know where your food comes from. You don't really know where your soul is. How can anything be in balance? You don't know anything about anything. And you're constantly absorbing stuff from other people about who you are and about who they are as it pertains to you.
And the things we don't know as the things we don't know as a people, is that our fault?
Partially, yes. Because when you're born ignorant, we all born ignorant. But if you stay ignorant, then that's on you. Because just like there's somebody down the street with the Bible and she know all the verses, just like there's somebody that's a Hebrew Israelite, he know all the verses, we all have the same time to learn. We all have the same opportunities to bump into somebody that plants that seed that tells us, oh, you a king. Oh, shit, I'm a king? All right, bet. We all started that way. Everybody that's woke, somebody planted a seed. But some people get seeds planted and they uproot them bitches. Some people don't want sunflowers. They just want sunflower seeds. They want to put it in their mouth, chew it up, and spit it out. They don't want to let it grow. They don't want to water it. They don't want to cultivate it. They don't want to grow up. They want to be a fast consuming type of nigga. All right, then.
Damn, some people don't want sunflowers. They want sunflower seeds. That's deep.